It's time to blast off as we check out this week's Kickstarter Pickstarters for May 11th, 2020.
HEL The Last Saga is a big new game from Mythic Games that we gotta get out of the way first at the top here. It's based in Norse mythology, and it is a miniatures co-op campaign scenario based exploration narrative combat adventure game. And that's a lot of descriptors, but this game is a lot of things. You're going to be taking on the role of a unique hero, and along with up to three other friends, or you could play it in solo mode. You'll be exploring across hexes, and depending on which hexes you reach and how you reach them, you'll be directed to read passages, and those passages may award you with special items or resources or any other number of things that could happen as you encounter new things in the story. Of course, there's combat. You're going to be fighting off against enemies, rolling dice, or making tests to see if you can overcome certain challenges. There are a total of 13 scenarios that you can play through in the campaign. They refer to them as songs, and of course they recommend you play through them in order and with the same group of people. It's not a legacy game, but there will be developments with your characters and progress that you'll make, new items that you'll get. It starts out as co-op, but depending on what happens in the story, different players could have different goals, so by the end of it, you might be out to get each other. This is a big game that they are only selling through Kickstarter. It's going to be exclusively through Kickstarter. It's $129 pledge, and that's it. There's going to be stretch goals down the line, but in terms of expansions and add-ons for mechanical content, actual gameplay content, they're just putting all of that into this pledge. So you either want it all or you don't, but you got to decide right now. But it seemed like a cool blend of, again, like a heavy emphasis on narrative content, but also with this kind of miniature exploration combat thing. Not too dissimilar from what we've been seeing in a lot of games like Tainted Grail and things lately, even Gloomhaven you could point to. But this one, I got a different vibe from it, and seems like they're approaching it in a unique way.
The goal changing, I think, sounds a bit more interesting because Gloomhaven, which is sort of competitive because you have secret goals, which maybe you'll be a bit more greedy or something, which feels a more along the lines of like something to make players not be 100% cooperative. This feels like there's a bit more of a narrative reason.
Right. It is. It definitely sounds like it's justified thematically, and there's also a system where you have special abilities, but if you take injuries, then the ability that the injury is related to will be negated. So as you play, your what you can and can't do will change. Sounds like a lot of cool stuff. If you're looking for, again, a huge campaign and this theme sounds interesting to you, then take a look at HEL The Last Saga for $129.
That isn't the only miniatures Kickstarter we have for you. Renegade Game Studios is back with another Power Rangers expansion Kickstarter, and I, of course, am excited for what new twists and turns they have. This expansion actually revolves around the Rangers in Space series, with the major expansion including the 5 Core Rangers and the Psycho Rangers, their evil counterparts, and a second smaller box which includes some other monsters and the original big bad from this series. Now, what's really exciting though is there's an add-on that can come free, which is a collector's box that will hold all the cards, and I think looks better than the original collector's box because it actually showcases Rangers on the cover. Now, going back to the actual gameplay stuff you'll be getting, this of course includes new Rangers, including the entire team with the exception of the Silver Ranger for some reason. I don't know why, if maybe later on the road as a Kickstarter, because he does have a Psycho Ranger form, I believe. But they also have the Psycho Rangers, which sort of work as a team. They have new partner monsters, so monsters that tend to work together. And there's now a mastermind mode, so instead of this being a co-op game, someone can take control of the monsters and make this more of a competitive style game. Of course, you can get all the other Power Ranger stuff, so if you need the core set or want to get any of the other things. So if you're jumping in now or you only got some of the parts, it's still easy to get what you need. I still like this game. If you are curious of more details on my thoughts on the core set, we have a video for it, so you can go check out that review. I know it seems like a small thing, but I love when they had collector's box and the fact that now it actually shows Rangers on the cover.
It's nice. Yeah, I think it's a nice touch, one that we both thought was a little strange from the first campaign. Now, I don't know anything about this outer space nonsense. This is beyond my area of expertise when it comes to Power Rangers. But I know you had always said you hoped that they expanded beyond that original core cast. So does it seem like this is scratching the itch that you want it to?
It is, and
Cool, cool. And of course, yeah, a 1v all mode, it sounds like, is an interesting twist. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, Legendary did it too, and I just think it's good to have the option there, especially for a game that has so much to offer. And don't forget that they actually release free scenarios online for depending on what expansions you have, which is really nice. Now, if you want the expansions, like I said, there's a lot of different things to go for. If you just want the new stuff, it's $100, and that actually comes with that collector's box for free, which is pretty nice. So if you're looking to rock it, this is the game for you.
From Horrible Guild, we have Railroad Inc. Challenge. This is a sequel or a companion to Railroad Inc. that uses the same gameplay for the most part. It's a roll and write in which you are building different types of railroads and trying to connect them between exits on your personal player sheet using a dry erase marker. This one adds some new things to the game. Now there are different buildings on your sheet, so if you're able to build specific types of paths next to those buildings, you may get bonus effects. There's brand new dice with some different upgraded types of paths that you can put down. There are also now player goals. So similar to something like Welcome to, another flip and write game if you're familiar with it, there will be goals that everyone is trying to attain, but the first player who is able to reach them will get the points for them. Other little tweaks like that throughout the game. There are two different versions this time around, green and yellow, and each one comes with slightly different expansion dice that you can add in to mix things up. The original version of the game also had, I believe it was blue and red, so you can get a full color spectrum at some point if they keep on releasing these. It seems like a really fun roll and write game, a really interesting take on that genre that a lot of people have raved about before. And I know we love roll and write games in general, and I don't see why this one would be any different. There is some Kickstarter exclusive stuff in this, including a unique die and I think maybe a specific kind of a solo board that you can get to play it solo. So some of that stuff you will have to jump on here unless they're able to sell it somewhere at conventions or somewhere like that down the line. But other than that, for the most part, you'll be able to eventually get this at retail.
Now, I've not played this train roll and write game, but Horrible Guild has really done well for me, at least in my book, with their games, including Legacy, Alone. No, but I do have a question. Do you think there's going to be a Dexit issue with these different versions? Do they include all the trains from
That's
previous
going to be a
games?
real problem. Yeah. It is an interesting idea that you can buy just one or both together. It also has a possible add-on. You can get a big box that will hold all four versions of the game on your shelf if you're interested in that. If you just want one, it's about $20 US, both together for $37, so you can get a slight discount. But it seems like fun. If you're interested in that flip and write gameplay, check out Railroad Inc. Challenge.
It's time to look for some shiny gemstones in Masters of Charms. This set collecting game is all about collecting gemstones as gnomes. To do so, though, you'll need to traverse the board, and on spaces with the gems, you'll collect them and sell them for gold. At the end of the game, you will earn points equal to the gems you have, as well as gold and maybe some other special mastery bonus cards. The way, though, you move around the board is with portals. The way it works is you're going to draw portal cards and play them onto the board, which is sort of set up by cards of gems. And the portal card will either show you a direction you can go and the number of times you can move that way and turns. But what's interesting is once you put a portal down, it could be used a second time. So on someone else's turn, they could do sort of a ricochet maneuver in order to get to a different place where instead of where the one portal would have led them. And then that allows you to collect more interesting gems. You got to be careful, though, because if people collect the gems you want beforehand. But other than that, it's a set collecting game. It's really that portal aspect I think is really cool, because not only do you have to think of where you want to end up, but you are setting up another portal someone else can use to possibly reach their goal.
It looks like a really slick design from what I saw in terms of the aesthetics. It's very like clean, concise colors on a black background or white background, looking at the box and the cards, which it seems like it's appropriate for what looks like kind of more of an abstract game, but it seems like it could be a good accessible type of genre for families or broader appeal like that.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, the story is your gnomes collecting these gems to sell them as charms. But it does just feel like the colored stones you're collecting as sets. It's not maybe the most thematic game, but still, mechanically, it does sound an interesting twist with those portals, which I think will add that extra layer to if you've already played a couple set collecting games. Now you can get this game for $29. That will of course include any stretch goals they unlock. So if you're interested in making some charms, take a look at this one.
Next up is a role playing accessory called Roll and Play, the Game Master's Tabletop Toolkit. This is a book that you can use to enhance your tabletop games as a GM. It is filled with lots of handy charts and tables that can give you some inspiration or just fill in the blanks for you when you're trying to generate things on the fly like NPCs, items, different encounters that you could run into, what the name of a tavern might be, a game that you might be able to play or your players might be able to play within the RPG if they find a town fair or they challenge someone to a contest. All sorts of things, even if you get a critical hit, what that might mean in combat. You can either roll for it or just choose randomly or just use these things as ideas for your campaign. And I say charts and tables, which makes it sound, maybe a little bit hard to look at, maybe a little intimidating, but it's not like you're doing any kind of math or anything. You're just looking at a list of possible ideas and picking what you like. I think it's all very presented in a very friendly, colorful way. And this is not a new idea for sure. There have been cards and guides and things to help with this sort of thing and giving you ideas of what you can name people and little lists of random items that you can give people if you can't come up with something. But it seems like this one is presented in a nice way, and they have some interesting stretch goals as well. If they reach a certain goal, they're going to have a campaign building aspect to it as well, so you can use this to even plan out larger aspects of your play.
Yeah, this is one I looked at too. I always tend to like those RPG helper kits. I know in particular for me, I really liked the example page they showed was for a party because sure, you when you make a campaign, you're gonna think of like the major story beats like this is the big bad, this is what he's trying to do and stuff. But to make a campaign really feel lived in, it's those small details you forget about, like if they go to a celebration, are there people like is there a balloon game? Is there something for goldfish or something? And they have a whole chart of like different kind of celebrations you can have there. Now, when it comes to tavern naming, though, I think there's only two ways you can go. A, you combine thirsty and drunken with an animal. Or B, you have to sort of name it in a way that's going to foreshadow in a weird way what's going to happen. Like you name it the twin-headed goose. You're going to get attacked by like a two-headed dragon or something.
Yeah, those are all good suggestions. Let us know in the comments what your best tavern names have been. Or if you want someone else to do the work for you, check out the Roll and Play book. You can get a digital copy for $12 or the physical version for $18.
We're going to finish off with another accessory, though. This one could be used for both board games and RPGs. The Adapt Tabletop is a modular table system, which allows you to elevate your board games or maybe make staged levels for an RPG with miniatures to your tabletop experience. The way it's going to work is you have flat pieces and these little legs that can click anywhere on the bottom of the flat pieces. So you can either make one really large thing to put a big board on top, or make staged levels. For example, if there's like a hill, so you want to make it 3 stories tall or something. This is really nice, not just because of if you're an RPG player to really get that view idea of how high things are, but it's also nice to maybe lift the board sometimes if maybe there's something passing secret information underneath, or in some people's cases, you're afraid of drinks being spilled on your game book pieces. It keeps the board above ground.
Yeah, I could see this being useful even in just a regular board game. Just it seems nice to have your game just a little more elevated. Like you said, if you want to like move it, if you want to eat dinner, maybe it's easier to like pick up this thing and move it somewhere else temporarily. But also for game, I could definitely think of examples of a lot of these games like a Midara or a Gloomhaven or even like a Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth. Like it's fun to maybe have different areas to look at to make it feel a little more dynamic.
Another weird thing that I was thinking about, I mean, it might not be the best, but I thought it was a cool idea, would be it technically gives table space. I mean, you can't see everything underneath, but if like you have, for example, Arkham Horror has a whole bunch of decks, they can go underneath and you could probably just put them so you can sort of see like, oh, I need the blue deck card. So it can help some games which may be table space eaters and help make them a little bit more manageable for your regular size table.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Now there's 3 pledge levels. There's a light edition for around $53. You can get the standard for $70, and if you want to go all in, they have a plus edition at $127.
Of course, there are other Kickstarter projects out there this week that we might not have got the chance to talk about too in depth. One we're going to shout out is Crimson Company Ragnarok. Crimson Company is a 2-player card game, a battling game that we reviewed a while back. This new Kickstarter has another new expansion, as well as a big collector's box to hold everything. And now there's a board in it too, so you can lay out the cards easier. Like I said, our review is on that page. So if you want more info, that's another one maybe you want to look at.
A lot of collector boxes this Pickstarter.
That's a big
which
thing.
I think is a good thing. But let us know if you're backing any of these. Are you going for those bigger miniature games or something a little bit smaller, some of those roll rights, or maybe an accessory? You can let us know in the comments down below. And of course, we'll be talking about our Meatball Gallery, which right now we will be streaming live, so you can respond to us directly. But until that next gallery, I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this has been Roll for Crit.
We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
For legal reasons, we've got to disclose we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with more awesome content.